Good morning, this is Pauline.
And this is Mike.
And we'll begin with the Society News for Friday the 19th of July. On Tuesday the 23rd of July, the swimming group are swimming at the Waterside Pool in Ryde from 8 p.m. until 8:45. The pool is closed to the public whilst the group swims. There are male and female volunteers to help you get in and out of the pool, as well as lifeguards to ensure your safety. To join the swimming group, please call the site for Wight first to notify us of your swimming ability. You need to register with the office at Millbrook House first to be able to swim with the group.
Wednesday the 24th of July. The weekly coffee morning will be held at Millbrook House this week from 10:30 a.m. There will also be our low vision drop-in between 10 a.m. and 12 noon. This is a weekly event to allow you to view and try the low vision equipment we have at the Society without the need for an appointment.
On Thursday the 25th of July, the Thursday social group are meeting at Millbrook House. The group meets from 10:30 until 2 p.m. with the help of a volunteer. The group enjoy a number of activities: crosswords, catching up on news and trivia, knitting and crochet. They are currently making pom-poms to make into a rug. This very friendly mixed group also love to chat and enjoy lunch together. Later in the afternoon, volunteers come in and read to the group on different topics. If you would like to join the group, then please contact the Society on 522205.
Friday the 26th of July, the Striders group will be meeting for a circular walk around Appleford in Chale. Lunch is booked for approximately 12:30 p.m. at the White Mouse Inn at Chale. If you would like to join the Striders group, then please contact the Society on 52205 or email members@iwsb.org.uk.
And now for any other news. Noir anti-glare shields and filters. We now have a sample set of the most popular filters and frames available to try. These can be mixed and matched to individual requirements and then ordered. They are available to view at the Low Vision Drop-In on Wednesdays, or if you prefer to make an appointment, please contact the Society on 52205 or email members@iwsb.org.uk.
Raffle tickets are now available for our annual raffle, which will be drawn on the 31st of October. The tickets are £1 each and come in a book of 5 tickets. Please contact Site for Wight on 52205 or email enquiries@iwsb.org.uk if you would like to purchase tickets.
The Society is looking for donations of tombola prizes for upcoming summer shows and also donations of raffle prizes, i.e. meals, car MOTs, gift tokens, etc. from businesses. If you are able to help, please contact Site for Wight on 52205 or email admin@iwsb.org.uk.
Dress for Less. Our boutique dress agency is holding a ladies' fashion evening on Wednesday the 24th of July from 4:30 p.m. until 7 p.m. Tickets are £3 and available from Site for Wight or Dress for Less. This includes a glass of bubbly and nibbles. We will be joined by Tropic Green Beauty, Summer Lilies Florist, Jewellery by Emily and The Body Shop. Selected clothing items will be available at 50% discount. All profits will go to Site for Wight. For more information, please call Dress for Less on 523197 or call in to the shop at 114 St James's Street, Newport.
RNIB invites you to come and connect. The RNIB would like to hear your feedback and update you with what is going on in the community. So you are invited to come and connect with RNIB, other local support, and most importantly, each other, on Friday the 2nd of August 2019 from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Honey Hill Room, the Riverside Centre, Newport. If you'd like to join the RNIB at an event, please RSVP by contacting the community facilitator, Hazel Cross. Her email is hazel.cross@rnib.org.uk.
Open Sight Hampshire are hosting the Eye Contact exhibition on Wednesday the 25th of September 2019 between 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. at the Aegeus Bowl in Southampton. It is Hampshire's biggest free exhibition, which brings together the latest equipment and services available to those with or at risk of sight loss. For more information, please call 02380 641 244 or visit their website www.opensight.org.uk. The Fellowship for the Visually Impaired will meet on Saturday the 27th of July at Bethany Evangelical Church in Union Street, Newport at 3 p.m. The speaker this month will be Mr. Steve Crago. There will be hymns, a quiz, story reading and a short Christian message. Hymn books and scripture are in large print and in Braille. A collection is taken from which donations are made to the Torch Trust for the Blind. For further details, please contact Mrs. Jackie Moore on 520797. Please note that, as usual, there will be no groups or activities taking place at Millbrook House throughout August.
This week's In Touch. What do emojis mean to blind people? For World Emoji Day, the social media company We Are Social and the RNIB are collaborating to find ways to make emojis more accessible to visually impaired people. Sarah Bailey of the RNIB tells us what they've come up with so far, and we test social media expert Fern Lulham on their uses and their meanings. The Tree of Dreams is a story about expectations, reality, fantasy and family, devised by Ipswich resident company of visually impaired people, with dynamic audio description by the internationally renowned Rationale method, using beatboxing sound effects to heighten the experience for both blind and sighted audiences. In Touch reporter Toby Davey gets a taste of this new way of conveying performance to visually impaired people.
We now move along to the County Press for Friday the 19th of July 2019. And the headlines are Phoebe's Big Day. Phoebe's Big Day. Little fighter defies the odds to celebrate her milestone first birthday. A Northwood family is celebrating a milestone they never thought they would see, their baby's first birthday. Phoebe Amber Bradley has defied the odds and will turn one tomorrow, which is Saturday, despite suffering from a severe form of life-limiting genetic disorder. Although it wasn't picked up during Mum Holly's pregnancy, when Phoebe was born at 36 weeks, weighing just 4 pounds, there were clear signs something was wrong. The staff at St Mary's Hospital remained very calm and reassuring and took Phoebe straight to the NICU. She wasn't breathing initially. Her ears were set low. She had a small mouth and claw-like clenched fists. Physically, it looked like something was wrong, but she also had a hole in her heart and was terribly frail. She was diagnosed with Edwards syndrome, also known as trisomy 18, a rare but serious genetic condition that causes a wide range of severe medical problems. Sadly, most babies with Edwards syndrome die before or shortly after being born, and Phoebe had the worst strain of it. A baby with Edwards syndrome has 3 copies of chromosome number 18 instead of 2, and the presence of this extra chromosome in cells severely disrupts normal development. There was nothing more that could be done medically, and Phoebe was taken home at 11 days old. She was surrounded by love and attention from her mum, dad Peter, and big brother Blake, with support from the wider family and friends. Holly said, "Taking her home was quite scary. We did not expect her to last long, and every day was a bonus." However, Phoebe defied expectations, and despite a few scares and several hospital visits, the family is now looking forward to her first birthday party. We didn't think we would get there, but she's a little fighter. She's permanently on oxygen, and we look ahead in days, weeks and months, not years. If we got a cold, flu or a virus, it could kill her. In February, she got a chest infection and stopped breathing, and she had to have CPR at home while we waited for an ambulance. But we wouldn't change her for the world, and having her has enhanced our life. She has made us do so many things we would have never done or experienced. She has given us the purest love. Everyone says she has attitude and is feisty. She laughs and smiles all the time, though. She is such a happy girl. It was expected that Phoebe would be deaf, but she wears a special headband and can hear. Phoebe was christened in hospital shortly after being born and attended her parents' wedding in September, hastily arranged because they wanted Phoebe to be there. The family wished to thank the NICU staff, children's ward doctors, nurses and community, plus physio and occupational therapy and speech and language. They have also been helped by Well Child Nurse, the respite team based at Mountbatten, North Cross Rainbow Trust, Layla's Trust, Kissy Puppy and Naomi House. More information on Edwards syndrome can be found at soft.org.uk.
Gulls drunk on ants. An article by Joshua Taylor. Flying ants were out in force on the island over the weekend, causing the seagulls that ate them to appear drunk. At #FlyingAntDay, trended on island Twitter accounts, after clouds of the insects descended on Newport. Several people reported seeing woozy seagulls, particularly on the dual carriageway, where drivers had to swerve around them. Every year during the perfect weather conditions, flying ants leave their nests in large numbers to form new colonies, attracting flocks of hungry birds. However, when ingested, some ants produce formic acid, which affects the behaviour of the gulls and makes them appear intoxicated. According to island rescue organisation Wild Bird Aid, several people reported seagulls being hit by cars on the dual carriageway. Volunteers collected several dead gulls and said people had deliberately run over the birds. They posted on Facebook, in quotes, "We are hearing reports and witnessed one incident ourselves of people deliberately aiming for seagulls and hitting them. We are beyond devastated someone is doing this."
Green light given for school closure. Despite protests by parents, Yarmouth Primary School is a step closer to relocating to freshwater after an Isle of Wight Council Cabinet vote last Thursday. The proposal put forward by Councillor Paul Brading, Cabinet Member for Children's Services and Education, is to close All Saints Primary School, Freshwater, on April the 3rd, 2020. The pupils would then move to Yarmouth Primary, doubling the number of pupils in each year group from 15 to 30. Yarmouth would then be closed and relocated to a refurbished All Saints site in September 2021. The council said it had to reduce the number of surplus school places in the West Wight area. Protesters wearing Yarmouth yellow stood outside County Hall before the meeting, appealing to keep Yarmouth School in Yarmouth. The council said Yarmouth Primary was not being closed, only relocated to Freshwater with its current staff, a claim Jill Cowley, whose grandchildren attend Yarmouth, described as euphemism. The Cabinet voted 8-1 in favour of the proposal. Councillor Stuart Hutchison, the West Wight Ward councillor, voted against it. He said he thought the decision was flawed and should be reconsidered. He said the concerns of the school governors carried a weight of educational quality and should be listened to. His speech was applauded by the supporters of Yarmouth School in the public gallery. Councillor Brading said he made the recommendation because All Saints had been rated as requires improvement by Ofsted since 2013, while Yarmouth Primary was rated good. However, the All Saints site was viewed as a better site for a school. Councillor Brading said it made sense to use the buildings closest to where most of the children live. 7 Yarmouth pupils live in the town, while 69 live in Freshwater and Totland. Councillor Brading said it also makes the most sense strategically in terms of future-proofing buildings, as the All Saints site is due to receive a multi-million-pound investment from the Department of Education to substantially improve and replace the existing buildings. However, one protester said Yarmouth was only rated good at its current site and criticised the plan to move children during the academic year, which he said was proven to damage academic achievements. A public notice of Cabinet's intended decision is due to be published today, Friday. People will now have 9 weeks until Friday, September the 20th, to make any further comments before the Cabinet makes a final decision on October the 10th.
Blind sail pair urge help to fund Canada medal bid by John Moreno. 2 islanders are planning to compete in the World Blind Sailing Championships in Canada this coming September, but they need your help to get there. Will Morris, aged 16, from Whitwell, and Liam Cattermole, 28, from Cowes, have been selected to represent Great Britain in the Blind Fleet Racing World Championships in Kingston, Ontario. Will is to act as a sighted guide while Liam competes as a visually impaired helmsman. The GB team, first and second in the last event, with the United States taking third, will be desperate to maintain their winning streak. Will has volunteered as a coach and sighted tactician for over 2 years with GB Blind Sailing, spending weekends and school holidays working with experienced and novice sailors with visual impairments. A familiar face around the island sailing clubs, Will regularly competes in various local and national keelboat events. This will be the first time taking part in world championships. Liam, however, is a veteran of the sport, having won the World Blind Sailing Match Racing Championships in 2014, 2016 and last year. He first tried sailing as a teenager when visiting the UKSA in Cowes on a school trip. From then on he was hooked. He sails regularly with GBR Blind Sailing and the Cowes-based Andrew Castle Foundation. Liam and Will can often be seen together racing a Flying 15 called Flip Flop across the Solent. However, The reality is GBR Blind Sailing is a registered charity with no paid staff and is therefore reliant on fundraising to support the ongoing activities and competing in special events like the World Championships. It will cost approximately £1,750 per crew member to represent Great Britain in Canada, which will cover flights, entry fees and accommodation. Liam and Will, hopeful of support from the island sailing community, aim to set up a fundraising page. Will said, "I am delighted to have been selected to compete at the World Championships. Not only has volunteering with the GB Blind team helped me to develop my own sailing, it has also taught me communication and teamwork are absolutely key skill requirements on and off the water." Liam added, "Being visually impaired can be a battle in everyday life, getting from A to B. But sailing enables me to feel free, race and train with friends. Competing at a global level is the ultimate experience, and I hope to be bringing home another medal this year."
Sandown shop window smashed for a second time. A shop front window in Sandown High Street has been smashed twice by youths wearing hoodies, leaving the owner appalled at the lack of progress in apprehending the vandals. Zest, which sells beach goods, souvenirs and vaping products, had its window smashed in on May the 4th and then again overnight on July the 6th. Despite being insured, the cost to the shop owner has spiralled into thousands due to the excess and increased premium. He has also had to remove all vaping products from the display as he believes this is what the vandals are attracted to. Gamal Ragheb opened the store in June 2012 and has never had any problems before. He said, "I think they are targeting me for some reason. Maybe they are youths who I have refused to sell vaping products to because of their age. I don't know. I used to have my vaping stock in the window to show people what I'm selling, but I've had to put it inside to remove the temptation. But I need to display my goods, so I should not have to do that. I replaced the window the first time, only to see it broken again. I can't afford to keep doing that." A neighbour opposite witnessed 3 youths wearing hoodies twice trying to smash the window overnight on July the 6th. The second time they carried a boulder along the road to make another attempt. Due to the window being toughened glass, it didn't quite break through, and the youths went home empty-handed. She phoned police twice, but officers didn't visit the shop for a few days. Gamal said, "The police were phoned, but no one turned up. If they had, they may have caught them. There is also CCTV evidence showing the distinctive hoodies. Despite this, the police have not caught anyone, and they suggested I put bars up at the window. I shouldn't have to do that, and it would not look good. If these people are not punished, they will do it again." An Isle of Wight police spokesperson said, "We are investigating 2 criminal damage incidents that took place at Zest. We are aware the victims are unhappy with the progress of the investigations. However, we can confirm both investigations remain ongoing and inquiries are in hand."
MP quits DEFRA role over HS2. Mr Bob Seeley has quit his role at the Department for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs, DEFRA, after refusing to back the HS2 high-speed rail network. He said there was greater need for investment in existing transport infrastructure, such as Island Line. His DEFRA role involved advising ministers on how the project would affect backbench constituencies. Having previously supported HS2, Mr Seeley said, "I reluctantly voted for it the first time, and now I have just decided it is in fact a colossal waste of money. I think it's a dumb idea. I did not feel I could vote to support it. while having consistently spoken out about the spiralling costs of the project, while in areas such as the Isle of Wight we have suffered from historic underinvestment.
A child sex offender is back before the judge. A child sex offender dubbed Every Mother's Nightmare, who has already served a prison sentence, has found himself back in court. Philip Swift, aged 54, of Atherley Road, Shanklin, was jailed for more than 3 years in 2015 for child sex offences. He was convicted of grooming and sexual activity with a 15-year-old girl after posing as a teenage boy online. The judge described him as the nightmare of every mother. Last Friday, Swift was sentenced at the Isle of Wight Crown Court for breaching a sexual harm prevention order put in place when he was convicted to stop him from hurting others. The court heard police had visited his home to carry out a routine search to his computer, only to find it in repair mode and all of the files inaccessible. Rod Blaine, prosecuting, said, "The effect of this was in order to wipe out any potential history on that computer. This inhibits the police from doing their work." Swift admitted breaching the order at a previous hearing. The court heard Swift was a former computer engineer who made a living mining cryptocurrencies. His defence barrister said Swift had not tried to hide anything. He accepts this was a deliberate act, but he was not intending to delete anything as there was nothing there to delete, he said. As a result of this breach, are you going to send him back to prison, or on where, to be blunt, he will mix with people worse than himself? I have told him that if he were to transgress again, it wouldn't be worth me turning up to defend him. Judge Morgan Gibney said, "I am not impressed with this accidental argument. This is a man who mines cryptocurrency that in itself suggests a degree of technical expertise." Swift was sentenced to 6 months in prison, suspended sentence for 2 years and fined £300. Judge Gibney said, "If you fail to engage with the probation service, you will be going back to jail. Be aware, you are unlikely to get a second chance."
Picnic could turn to protest. Ventnor residents are organising a community picnic to celebrate the imminent return of the swings to North Street Playground. But if the swings are not returned, the celebration will become a protest. The community rallied when the Isle of Wight Council removed the swings after they failed a safety inspection, organising a petition and forming the Longdown Residents Association to lobby for their return before the summer holidays. The council said it would meet the deadline, but the swings have not yet appeared. The Longdown Residents Association has organised a picnic tomorrow, Saturday, at 1 p.m. with live music from the Slow Cats. Residents are determined not to be let down and will renew the campaign if the swings are not returned. They said the celebration could turn into a new round of protests. An Isle of Wight Council spokesperson said it had ordered the swings and was doing everything it could to ensure they arrived as soon as possible. Ventnor Town Council will be taking over the playground and plans to upgrade it.
Council eyes up Venture Quays site. The Isle of Wight Council said it was committed to protecting marine manufacturing after the Cabinet last Thursday agreed to continue negotiations to purchase Venture Quays at East Cowes. Members voted unanimously in favour of continuing to secure the site for the right price. Collectively known as Venture Quays, the sites are the Columbine Yard, the Victoria Barracks Building, the Albany Warehouse and the Maresfield Road site currently used for car parking. They are owned by Homes England. Councillor Wayne Whittle, Cabinet Member for Regeneration and Businesses Development, said, The reason we are doing this is basically, if you know the history of Venture Keys, it was purchased many years ago and didn't amount to anything. There was a threat hanging over the shipbuilding jobs there, and that's something we intend to preserve by purchase if it's at the right price. MP Bob Seeley urged Homes England to sell Venture Keys to the Isle of Wight Council after plans to transform the site into a luxury waterfront development with a 400-berth marina, plush townhouses, a hotel, bars and manicured public gardens collapsed. Councillor Whittle stressed the importance of safeguarding local marine jobs and regenerating East Cowes. Members agreed Cabinet and Council directors could use the delegated powers to approve the purchase, subject to a deal with Homes England, so the site could be acquired without delay. Councillor Dave Stewart, leader of the council, said, "It's a very positive approach we're taking, and it would be really good for this island if we could achieve this. The purchase would be funded by the council's regeneration fund." Councillor Stuart Hutchinson, Cabinet Member for Resources, said, "This, I think, will be a superb investment. It gives us control of very significant strategic parcels of land. It gives us the ability to support marine engineering industries." The council said acquiring the site will enable it to maintain marine and associated industries at Columbine. It has suggested redeveloping Victoria Barracks for leisure and public realm use, and the Albany and Maresfield Road sites for housing.
Spate of beach hut thefts. Police have been investigating a series of incidents in which items have been stolen from beach huts and campsites in Shanklin and Sandown. Dozens of items have been recovered, including bicycles, bicycle parts, paddleboards, binoculars, mobile phones, a scooter, an air-wheel unicycle and fishing rods. Police are asking recent theft victims to get in touch if they believe any of the items could belong to them. PC Nick Massey said, "We began receiving reports of these thefts and burglary incidents in January and have received a number over the course of the following months. During this time we have been working hard to carry out inquiries and recover as much property as possible and have also made an arrest. We believe as many as 50 incidents have taken place in which people's belongings have been stolen from beach huts or campsites in the area. Anyone who recognises items should call 101 and ask for the Ventnor Neighbourhood Policing Team." A 42-year-old Shanklin man has been arrested and bailed until tomorrow. More photos of the items can be found on the County Press website.
Taz could not be saved. A homeless man who was well known in Newport and liked by many in the town died after drinking alcohol and taking heroin. Flowers were left in tribute to Terence Taz Ballard in Scarrett's Lane, where he used to sit. Following his death on September the 14th last year, and islanders donated to a fundraising campaign to pay for his funeral. An inquest held on Thursday last week heard he died as a result of central nervous system depression while staying at a friend's house nearby. A post-mortem found he was twice the drink-drive limit and fell unconscious after taking a fatal dose of heroin. His friends, who had been watching television, said they found him slumped in the kitchen after he had gone to make a cup of tea. An ambulance was called, but Mr. Ballard, aged 42, could not be saved. Coroner Caroline Summeray said, "Heroin acts on the part of the brain that processes the very basic functions of the body. What happens is, if you take a drug like morphine, it works on that part of the brain. Then you drift off into sleep. Then you drift off into a coma. Heroin is a nervous system depressant, and so is alcohol." She concluded Mr. Ballard's death was drug and alcohol related. This gentleman was 42 years of age and homeless with a history of addiction, she said. I am satisfied the heroin found in his system, combined with the alcohol, resulted in his collapse and subsequent death.
It's 3 in a row for Queensgate. Queensgate Foundation Primary School has been rated good by Ofsted for the 3rd time in a row. Inspectors praised the East Cowes School's caring relationships, diligent governors and remarkable improvement in pupils' reading and writing. They found children were interested in their work, enjoyed out and about sessions and had a good understanding of bullying and online safety. Steps have been taken to improve standards after pupils' progress in writing dipped below the national average last year. Head teacher Samantha Silito said, "I'm delighted Ofsted has found us to be a good school for a 3rd inspection in a row. We have plenty to celebrate. We have a robust team, driven to inspire and support pupils to achieve their best. We are already working on Ofsted's next steps and looking forward to moving into our brand new building early in 2020. A huge thank you to all our parents, carers, pupils and staff."
The Waverley is set to sail the seas once again. The iconic Waverley paddle steamer could return to visit the Isle of Wight next year. The Waverley was withdrawn from service 2 months ago after it was discovered it needed 2 new boilers costing £2.3 million. However, a fundraising appeal has raised enough money to put down a deposit for the new parts. Waverley Excursion General Manager Paul Semple said, "This is the first vital step in returning Waverley to steam, and I am extremely grateful to everyone who has donated to the appeal so far, as they have allowed us to progress so quickly. The new boilers will be built and ready for delivery early next year. Several other components in the boiler room, including electric generators, will also be replaced. The Waverley is the world's last seagoing paddle steamer and a regular visitor to the island for more than 40 years.
Hover pilot flies the flag. Hover travel pilot Nick Wood was thrilled to be shortlisted as an LGBT Travel Pride champion. Only 15 people were shortlisted for the accolade by the Travel Trade Gazette for their work championing diversity and travel. Although Nick didn't win, he said he was thrilled to have been shortlisted. Nick helmed a hovercraft emblazoned with rainbow flags and carrying VIP guests to Isle of Wight and UK Pride last year, the first ever UK Pride to be held on a beach. He landed on Ryde Sands just metres from the hub of the event, wearing a 2-piece rainbow suit and cowboy hat. Loretta Lale, head of commercial at Hover Travel, said, "The image of rainbow-suited Nick standing on the deck of a hovercraft has become a symbol, both internally and externally, for the inclusivity of hover travel." Isle of Wight Pride 2019 takes place in Ryde tomorrow, Saturday, with a parade, a community village next to Eastern Gardens, yoga and Zumba, and free entertainment in Ryde Super Bowl and at other venues around the town.
And on that happy note, we have to say goodbye to you. So it's bye-bye from Mike.
And goodbye from Pauline.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Good morning, everyone. This is Barry, and
I'm Linda.
reading the County Press for July the 19th. And first of all, we have the letters. The memories of putting a man on the moon. From the Reverend Howard Cunnington in Sandown. I was 13 in 1969 and was so inspired by the Apollo programme that I started collecting newspaper cuttings and other TV and space magazines. I completed 10 scrapbooks of cuttings and amassed a wealth of material in a large box in my bedroom. I still had everything 50 years later. I am particularly pleased with my original newspapers from July the 21st with the historic headlines of the moon landing. How I managed to hold on to them for so long I really don't know, but as a teacher and minister they are now an invaluable resource to share with others who have little or no knowledge of those momentous and awe-inspiring events.
And now from Noreen Charles of Ryde, she says, read the article in the County Press of the 5th of July. I can't understand how someone on the council could think Ryde did not need a town crier. Ryde needs all the help and publicity it can get. What on earth possessed someone to sack the town crier, a volunteer and a colourful character loved by tourists? On the high street, children were delighted when he cried out his loud, "Oh yes, oh yes," and the tourists were keen to take photographs with him. Just think of the publicity. Photographs of Ryde winging their way round the world, and the happy memories of the Isle of Wight they take with them. How can one sack a volunteer? They are like gold dust and should never be allowed to slip through the fingers, as they are an asset to the community. Crier Steve King livened up Ryde High Street, and he is missed, so he will be another town's gain and Ryde's loss. Perhaps the Visit Isle of Wight could do with some free publicity.
Now we have a letter from Martin Payne of Bembridge. For most of my life, I'm now in my 70s, I've watched people's, including my own, crutches topple from where they have been propped up, and then been a pain to recover. After all these years, a nice young lady in St Mary's plaster room, I'd just broken my kneecap, suggested I stood them upside down, see the photograph. That way up, they didn't move. How, during a lifetime as an engineer, did I miss the obvious? What can I say? But thank you, and hopefully via the county press, share the idea with others. P.S. I got great treatment from everybody at St Mary's. Thank you.
A letter from Isaac Farnbank of Knighton. I fear John Baldry's letter is misinformed, inaccurate and erroneous in its analysis of Boris Johnson MP, the government's economic policy and our own Island MP Bob Seeley. Firstly, Mr Baldry brands austerity a devious political policy. Aside from austerity being an economic necessity and policy, the word devious is distasteful. As ever, the opponents of austerity seem to have conveniently forgotten why austerity became necessary. In 2008, one of the worst financial crises plagued the world. Gordon Brown's reaction was to apply Keynesian theory by boosting spending and running a deficit, believing economic expansion would resume. Now, if a nation has the largest peacetime deficit for years, it cannot be swept under the carpet. Otherwise, the whole nation will fatally trip. Therefore, in order to avoid damaging massive taxation increases, in order to avoid a depression, the Conservatives were obliged to cut overall government expenditure, as well as maintain tight control over expenditure expansion. As for his serious accusation of Mr Johnson being a serial liar, such a crude, rash statement cannot simply be freely espoused, devoid of any sensible, accurate, relevant evidence. Boris offers a reinvigoration of original, radical, ambitious free market economics that will unlock great potential in this country for business and subsequently boost employment, widen opportunity, generate the wealth for better public services and transform areas of deprivation that hitherto had been ignored. If one is looking for a serial liar, look no further than the Labour Party. It has 37 unfunded pledges. Now that truly beggars belief. Finally, income taxes were mentioned. Cuts in direct taxation boost the disposable incomes of all recipients of such cuts in taxation. If people are more financially secure, risk-taking is likely to increase, meaning greater enterprise, creating jobs and opportunity for everyone.
Now we have a letter from Ian Knocker-Dore. As part of an ongoing series of articles looking back at bygone years of nightclubbing on the Isle of Wight, DJ Ian Knocker-Dore is back again, and this time he's looking at Casualty. Casualty launched at the Balcony in 2004 as a way of injecting a bit of fun into what I felt had become a serious and stale clubbing scene, said Ian. The focus was on the music and not the tried and tested big names DJs, though a few actually asked to come and play. As the word was out, it was a top night. You had dance acts and DJs, including the Shapeshifters and the Freemasons, plus a couple of familiar faces such as Judge Jules and Lisa Pinup. The medical theme was a giggle, and the surgical silliness served the island well for 3 years. It was popular and didn't rely on the old formulas. The night also soared and toured to the wonderful cities of Bath and Edinburgh, and that was a blast. Personally, I had gone full circle, returning to the venue that I had originally started at. The enticing beachside location of the Balcony was a special place for me, and so it felt fitting to let the sun set on my final night in Ryde. As a promoter, you have to know when to call it a day and go out on a high while you are still filling a venue. As I was moving to Bath to take up a radio breakfast show, that influenced the natural ending, and it tied in well. Casualty led to bookings at Festival and other gigs, but most importantly, it was a good old laugh. Like dynamite before it, a new generation of clubbers got their first taste of the land of large that perhaps they wouldn't have. That makes you very happy, very proud, and I think the smiles on the clubbers' faces say it all.
And now, headlined Our Changing Island Industrial Landscape, an article by Sarah Burdett. On the island, the historic industry has been agriculture, with stone barns visible across the countryside. Today, new barns are large steel structures sheltering cattle as well as crops. Many of the stone barns have been converted for self-catering holidays as part of the tourism trade. With the Industrial Revolution came ship, then aircraft manufacture. The slipways and sheds of cows and East cows that created every component for a complete warship or merchant vessel have been slowly disappearing since shipbuilding ceased in the 1960s. Only the hammerhead crane remains as a symbol of that era. The construction of ferries and offshore wind farm service tenders has continued from smaller yards on the Medina. The manufacture of the RNLI's inshore rescue craft in East Cowes has taken the place of building traditional displacement lifeboats in boat yards. Many sheds for the construction of complete aircraft have gone, leaving only the Columbine in East Cowes. The island contribution to large aircraft construction is now only in component parts. In the latter part of the 1900s, Islander aircraft were constructed at Bembridge, while at Sandown Airport there is a business that maintains Spitfire planes and builds replicas. Trinity House supported many island families through employment on lighthouses, light vessels and the local buoy tender for 160 years from its depot in East Cowes. In its latter years it became the engineering department, automating all its outposts. Many military establishments have been built all over the island. A large one, Parkhurst Barracks, became a prison, employing many staff. This appears to be providing fewer jobs as circumstances change and may be replaced by housing. During the late 1800s, Chevertons at Newport were building carriages for Queen Victoria that were sent to many parts of Europe. While the large manufacturing factories have gone, they have been replaced by industrial estates in most of our communities where purpose-built accommodation provides a base for businesses.
Now we have a panel of columnists taking in turn to give their take on life as it is played out on the Isle of Wight. This is presented by Catherine James. Tune your telly to a new channel, White Gold. These days we hoover up TV programmes via satellite boxes on our smartphones or at our convenience with an on-demand subscription. Binge watch along with me as I bang the side of your Bakelite telly to tune it into White Gold, vintage sitcom channel. First up, the young ones. Arthur Mallard and Hilda Baker spend their twilight years at Bembridge, living with her grandparents. It ain't half hot, Mum. Chortles aplenty, as Shanklin's well-deserved status as the sunniest place in Britain is challenged. Episode 4, Eastbourne declares war. Last of the summer wine. A day trip for the county press commentators on the club turns to farce as they run into the on the Wight naysayers. Mrs. Brown's boys, matronly Queen Victoria, meddles in the lives of her many sons. We are not amused. Downenders into intergenerational mayhem with woodcutter Michael happily going about his daily life until grandson James Dove comes to live with him. Then events take a darker turn. Up Pompey. After the rumour Hampshire County Council might withdraw support for island services, local units then raise two giant wicked fingers on Appleby Beach. The fall and rise of Reginald Perry. Closed all hours. A Cranmore pensioner goes on a fruitless and exhausting mission to buy some milk and a scratch card in West Wight on a Wednesday afternoon.
Hancock's Half Hour. Curmudgeonly middle-aged Tony pontificates on life while stuck in various island log jams. Episode 2. After spending 30 minutes trying in vain to find a parking space at St Mary's Hospital, Tony drives to Cowes, only to see the floating bridge draw away. Father Ted, beloved children's character Sailor Ted, gets shipwrecked on the Isle of Wight. Discovering heathens, he swaps his sailor suit for a dog collar and becomes a missionary. Are You Being Served? Episode 30. Ronnie is overwhelmed by the attentions of overall-clad assistants when he pops into Hurst's to buy 4 candles. Off the buses. Hilarity ensues as animated skeletons wait expectantly at a rural, yet long decommissioned bus stop. Ferry and June. Laughs aplenty as efforts to cross the Solent during the annual Isle of Wight Pop Festival are sorely tested. Both feet in the grave. Victor Meldrew retires to Freshwater. Till Heath do us part. Political squabbling as Ryde Town councillors are divided over whether or not to fund the community hub at Aspire. Rising damp. Set 50 years hence, residents of Thorley regret campaigning against wind turbines as the rising sea approaches.
Now we have some information on local events of one kind or another. The Old Ryde Deans Association notice of general meeting to be held on the 11th of September 2019 at 6:30 p.m. at Yelf's Hotel Ryde. And the Meter Players present the classic kids gangster musical performed by an adult cast. Tuesday 30th of July to Saturday the 3rd of August at 7:30, and the tickets are £12 each.
And during the Ventnor Fringe, a new play is a gift for Fringe Festival's 10th anniversary. Island musicians and actors are teaming up for a new Origins Theatre production that will premiere at Ventnor Fringe. The production, 3 Women, features 2 short plays about women of different ages. The first is based on the blog I Know I Need to Stop Talking and stars Eleanor Spicer as a young mum who drinks a bit, too much wine, and pours her heart out. The second, The Postman, stars Chris Turvey as someone who stays at home to wait for the post until her life changes, thanks to the postman. 3 Women is on at the Pier Street Playhouse at 6 p.m. on Thursday and Friday. The Fringe starts on Tuesday. Find out more at vfringe.co.uk.
And the Ryde Lions Club are proud to present the South Wales Male Choir with guest artist Cinnamon from the island. Thursday the 8th of August at All Saints Church Ryde, PO 333 BG Church at 7 p.m. Doors open at 6:30 p.m. Tickets £10 available from Ladies Realm and Splashing Ride.
Feel the magic up close when the ever-popular J. Miller's Circus rolls in next week. The circus will be coming to Wootton on Thursday. John Miller, who has been bringing his diverse, action-packed and entertaining show for all the family since 1976, is rightly proud to be bringing his circus back to the island for yet another greatly anticipated summer season. "We at J. Miller's Circus love the island," said John. "It's the highlight of our tour each year, not only as it's a summer break for us, but also because the people are so friendly, supportive and welcoming every time we visit." J. Miller's Circus runs until September the 1st.
And ballet fans will be in their element when the acclaimed ballet works comes to Medina Theatre. The company is led by Robert Robinson, who grew up in Shanklin and was taught by island dance teacher Gillian Cartwright. He went on to enjoy a career in ballet, and each year he brings the Ballet Works show to the island. This year is the 6th anniversary of them. They will take place next Friday and Saturday, with all proceeds going to Mountbatten, a charity close to Robert's heart, following the hospice's care for his grandmother. The show has built up quite a varied repertoire, so the audience can expect an evening of works from neoclassical to contemporary dance. It will feature ascendant young European artists and various dance styles, all using the highest quality of dance and choreography from around the world.
And now the Wight Proms, which are taking place between 29th of August and the 1st of September this year at Northwood House in Cowes. The website for further information is whiteproms.co.uk. Telephone number 213 622. It all features cinema, comedy, musicals, classical and free workshops. Celebrities there will be Leslie Garrett, singing her heart out of course, Shappi Khorsandi, who is a great comedian, Alan Davis, who everybody knows, and Ruthie Henshaw, well known for her musical voice. Peter and the Wolf, a jazz band, it looks like from the picture, and Wight at the Movies, featuring Dirty Dancing and The Greatest Showman.
And on Thursday the 25th, August Thursday the 1st, Beyond the West End at 8:15. Saturday the 3rd of August, Jive Talking, 7:30. Sunday the 4th of August, Show a Daddy Way, 7:30. Tuesday the 6th of August, Jimmy Jimaine, 7:30. Thursday the 8th, Beyond the West End. Wednesday the 14th, the Fab Beatles. Thursday the 15th, Beyond the West End. Saturday the 17th, ABBA Reunion. Thursday the 22nd, Beyond the West End. The Island Savoyards present Friday the 23rd, Sister Act, 7:30. Saturday the 24th, Sister Act, 7:30. Sunday the 25th, Sister Act, 2:30 and 7:30. Monday the 26th, Sister Act, 7:30. Thursday the 29th, Beyond the West End. Saturday the 31st, Quadrophonia, the album live. And these events are all being held at Shanklin Theatre, and the box office number is 868 000.
And now for some news items left over from the news events spoken earlier. First of all, gardening tips, and here are some top tips for you. Water and feed everything regularly, especially tomatoes. The more vigorous the plant, the better able it is to resist disease. Tie tomatoes to their canes and pinch out the side shoots, unless they are a bush variety. The last sowing of French beans and carrots can take place. Transplant purple sprouting broccoli and winter leeks to their final position, or buy them as plugs from a garden centre. Prune early summer flowering shrubs such as Philadelphus, Rebis and Weigela after they've blossomed, so they can put on new growth this year that will bear the flowers next summer.
And an Island marine firm has celebrated its first anniversary and the saving of 20 jobs. It was 1 year ago that Diverse Marine bought the assets of its former owner, South Boats, based at Medina Yard in Cowes. The company has since provided boat designs for organisations including the RNLI and Border Force. Diverse Marine Director Ben Coleman said, "We have been truly humbled by the support we have received from our staff, clients and suppliers, and are proud to work with them, each and every one of them. 1 year ago we started with some equipment, a loyal team, a very modest business plan, but with our ethos of delivering high quality, cost-effective refits and repairs to clients that valued an integrated approach to complete each project. Diverse Marine continued to provide services offered by South Boats, including commercial vessel repair and refit services. It has also started developing a new portfolio of commercial vessel designs, including RIBS, fishing boats, workboats and wind farm crew transfer vessels. Fellow director Matt Floyd said, "We have worked for over 12 months to understand the requirements of the industry. Working with Chartwell Marine Design, we have produced the Ketchwell 10M and 12M fishing vessels, featuring a high buoyancy hull to enable high catch payloads, yet retaining high levels of seakeeping and comfort."
Bembridge Harbour Authority has bought a dredger in a bid to become more self-sufficient. Previously, harbour owner Malcolm Thorpe said he often had to wait for dredger availability, and there were regular delays due to bad weather on other contracts. He said, "This results in the work becoming impossible because the season is already underway, or it causes major disruption to annual resident berth holders and visitors, as boats must be relocated and pontoons completely stripped down. For commercial and ecological reasons, there is a limited period when dredging can sensibly take place. This is a major investment and a huge step forward, and demonstrates our continuing commitment to safeguarding the future of the harbour."
Now we have new animal physio business launched. A new island business has launched offering animal physiotherapy, treating people's pets in their own homes and also animals living at farms and zoos. Island Animal Physiotherapists is owned by animal lover Bianca Skillen, a fully qualified, registered and insured animal physiotherapist. Bianca said she was inspired to train in animal physiotherapy when her horse received physiotherapy treatment and she saw a noticeable improvement. She trained at the College of Animal Physiotherapy and is registered with the International Association of Animal Therapists. Carisbrooke resident Bianca treats all kinds of animals, including domestic pets, working dogs, farm animals, zoo animals and horses. She said animal physiotherapy could be used to treat a range of conditions. It can be used to help animals suffering from acute or chronic pain, arthritis and age-related conditions, neurological problems, ligament or tendon damage, and joint or nerve injuries. Following an initial assessment, Bianca uses toys and aids to help rehabilitate animals who have suffered an injury or had surgery. Bianca said, "Working with animals in pain or discomfort requires a calm and understanding approach. Therefore, there are no time limits on appointments. There's a common misconception that physio is just for post-injury, but it can benefit a number of ongoing conditions. I treat the whole animal, not just the area concerned."
3 Island primary school teams attended the national finals of the Jaguar Land Rover Primary School Challenge in Warwickshire. Gurnard Primary's Speed of Lightning and Shooting Car teams and Nettleston's Turbo Turtles were the regional winners for designing the fastest race cars. The national finals took place at the British Motoring Museum. Both teams from Gurnard Primary School impressed judges and were nominated in separate categories: Speed of Lightning for their portfolio and Shooting Cars for their verbal presentation. Despite both teams narrowly missing out on receiving awards, Richard Berryman, Gurnard's STEM lead, praised the stages that the teams reached. He also thanked GKN, Esplanade, Red Funnel and The Hut for their sponsorship.
I now have a new scheme to help Isle of Wight's rough sleepers by David Anderson. A new scheme to tackle rough sleeping on the Isle of Wight will aim to get homeless people into suitable housing as quickly as possible. The Housing First project was announced at an Isle of Wight Council Cabinet meeting last Thursday. The model is used widely in the USA and uses property as a starting point rather than an end goal, so homeless people with complex needs can begin to rebuild their lives. Councillor Claire Mosdell, Cabinet Member for Adult Social Care, said the basic underlying principle of Housing First is that people are better able to move forward with their lives if they are first housed. This is as true for people experiencing homelessness and those with mental health and addictions as it is for anyone. Housing is provided first and then support is provided, including physical and mental health support, education, employment, substance abuse and community connections. She said similar schemes have been successful elsewhere in the UK. Councillor Mosdell praised Jamie Brenchley, the Council's Housing Needs and Homelessness Service Manager, for his work on the project. Mr. Brenchley said, "The scheme is guided by the belief that people need basic necessities, like food and a safe place to live, in order to address other issues in their lives. This is an exciting local development and provides the Isle of Wight with a vital tool that is evidenced nationally to support homeless individuals with complex needs to rebuild their lives." Two Saints, a leading national Housing First expert, has been commissioned by the Isle of Wight Council to deliver a pilot scheme on the island. They will be working in partnership with other registered housing associations and stakeholders. The project will initially work with a small number of individuals with a plan to deliver all homelessness services based on an accommodation first principle going forward. All referrals will go through the Council's housing team.
plans for a 57-home development in St Helens have fallen through because its access road is not a road. It was proposed the development at Guildford Park, a greenfield site which used to be a campsite, would be accessed via Guildford Road. However, the owner of the road is unknown, and Island Roads decided it was not actually a road at all. The decision, revealed at Tuesday's Isle of Wight Council Planning Committee meeting, means a traffic regulation order cannot be authorised to paint double yellow lines. Without double yellow lines, planning permission cannot be granted because the road is too narrow. Planning consultant Phil Salmon said it was unacceptable. The issue was raised at such a late stage, 9 months after the initial submission, and without any tangible evidence. Although the road lies on unregistered land, residents of Guildford Road claim to own it. Victoria Bailey, who spoke at the meeting on behalf of the residents, said the road was not a thoroughfare. She said the owners of the properties would be considered, in a court of law, to each be the owners up to the line of the road, and that they wish to continue to park outside their houses in a private cul-de-sac. She said, "My late mother always said she owned up to the middle of the road, and that had been the view of her grandparents, who had also lived on the road." There were 106 letters of objection to the development, with other concerns ranging from traffic and parking to noise and drainage. There were 46 letters of support. Mr. Salmon said, "We are at a stage where design, layout and environmental impacts are essentially agreed. The archaeology is easy to overcome, albeit we feel the latest request is onerous." He requested planning permission be granted with the condition that the highways matter is resolved before building work starts, but planning officers said that was not possible because there was no prospect of the condition being met. They said the decision to not classify Guildford Road as a road was made by the Highways Authority and therefore out of their hands. Council lawyer Ben Gard said, "The opinion received by the Planning Authority from the Highways Authority is this is not a road for the purposes of the Road Traffic Regulation Act. It clearly has the name Guildford Road, but it's not a road for the purposes of that Act." The application was refused by 4 votes to 0 with 1 abstention.
The countdown is on to this year's inflatable Rainbow Run, the Wessex Cancer Trust's biggest annual fundraiser. The 3 km family colour run, featuring giant inflatables and coloured clouds, takes place at the Isle of Wight Airport Sandown next Sunday. There are still a limited number of tickets available. Last year's debut event sold out, with 1,000 participants raising an incredible £40,000, and organisers are hoping for another sellout success. There's also an opportunity for island businesses to go head-to-head in the Corporate Cup. The Trust's Community Engagement Manager, Lorraine Wight, said, "Come and walk, run or dance your way through the happiest 3 km on the island, while raising the money for islanders affected by cancer. It's going to be another wonderful day." The event will also feature live music, children's entertainment, food vans and licensed bar. To sign up for this year's event, visit www.wessexcancer.org.uk. Rainbow Run.
Free bus and train travel for people with a severe and enduring mental health problem and those who care for them could be axed as the Isle of Wight Council looks to cut costs. The Council has launched a consultation on potential changes to its concessionary travel scheme, which could affect almost 4,000 people. The Council currently funds a number of discretionary extras that have now been recommended for removal. They include the Islander card, which provides free travel on island buses and island line trains for people with a severe and enduring mental health problem and their travelling companions. It has also recommended removing free travel from 11 p.m. at night to 9:30 a.m. for disabled people, except on Saturdays, Sundays and bank holidays, when free 24-hour travel will remain. It will consider introducing free travel for carers and care leavers. The Council said the concessionary travel scheme cost the authority £4.72 million in 2017-18 for both mandatory and discretionary elements. Cabinet Member for Public Transport, Councillor Ian Ward, said, "We have been looking carefully at the extra elements we provide above and beyond what is available in many other parts of England. This consultation will seek people's views on how we can fairly and acceptably amend the scheme to bring us in line with a lot of other parts of the country and generate savings to benefit islanders in other service areas. We are looking at the issue of medical appointments and whether the removal of the pre-9:30 a.m. free travel element would disadvantage some people and whether this could be overcome. Currently, 31,471 older islanders and 3,721 disabled people are entitled to free bus and train travel between 9:30 a.m. and 11 p.m. In 2010, the Council removed the additional discretionary element for older people, but not for those with a disability. The 12-week consultation will close at noon on Tuesday, October the 8th. Comments can be made on the Council's website.
Following last week's traffic chaos, an Isle of Wight councillor has warned a simple signal failure could bring emergency services to a standstill. Traffic on the island was gridlocked last Thursday morning, with 2-hour delays reported on main routes between Ryde, East Cowes and Newport. Councillor Michael Lilly raised safety concerns about the delay at a council scrutiny committee meeting on Tuesday. He said, "When the lights failed, people were actually stuck on the roads on the island for 2 or 3 hours. There was risk fire engineers and ambulances actually couldn't get through parts of the traffic. It went right back. Some people left at 7:30 a.m. and rolled in at 10 a.m. We are in real danger with the infrastructure when, if something really simple goes like a light, we come to a standstill. I think it's something that needs to be reviewed because it is extremely scary." Council leader, Councillor Dave Stewart, said in that case he was looking forward to Councillor Lilly's support for the Medina Bridge plans, which would provide another link between Cowes and East Cowes. Councillor Stewart also praised the Cowes floating bridge service, which he said transported 1,000 vehicles that day. It was suggested emergency vehicles could, if necessary, have used the floating bridge. However, some councillors questioned what would happen when it was out of service. Councillor Stewart said, "We inherited something we had to work with. We've worked with it and are now getting it good and reliable. There are a few more changes and then we are hoping we will be in a place where we can say it's good and it's working." He said the floating bridge was currently 94% reliable, based on figures since July last year, and a lot of people who had criticised the floating bridge had actually used it. John Metcalfe, Council Chief Executive, said ambulances and fire services would always be plugged into developments on the island to ensure they could deal with any issues.
A thug who roamed the streets of Ryde with a group of friends during a night out, throwing punches at strangers and starting a mass brawl, has been slammed by a judge for his shocking behaviour. CCTV footage played at the Isle of Wight Crown Court last Friday showed Caleb Sheen and his friends squaring up to another group of men in an alley off Ryde High Street and start fighting. The court heard the fight escalated, and an unidentified man believed to be associated with the second group arrived brandishing a large stick. Sheen and others could be seen stamping on another man's head. Sheen, 21, of Elm Grove, Newport, admitted a fray at a previous hearing. Defending Elizabeth Bussey Jones said, "Undoubtedly, his behaviour in the streets that night is shocking. At the time, he had claimed that he was on a 3-day bender. I would ask Your Honour to accept no one was seriously injured in the fight, and while there were others involved, it was only Kalim who was arrested. This was a mindless bit of violence between two groups of males who were participating in it." Judge Malcolm Gibney said, "You and others are seen marauding through the street, acting in a totally unreasonable manner. The footage discloses not just punching, but stamping also. You keep very poor company and are easily led." He sentenced Sheen to 39 weeks in prison, suspended for 2 years, a 12-week curfew from 7:30 p.m. to 7:30 a.m, and 100 hours of unpaid work.
The island's public health team looks set to be merged with Hampshire, but opposition councillors said that the deal had not been properly thought through. The partnership was approved by the Isle of Wight Council Cabinet last Thursday to deliver public health services, including healthy eating, anti-smoking and vaccination programmes, and will go before Hampshire County Council on Monday. If approved, it will come into effect on August the 1st. It would build on an interim partnership already in place. Due to the difficulty recruiting a public health director and to benefit from Hampshire's expertise, the mainland director would have responsibility for island services. And that is the county press for the July the 29th, read by Barry.
And goodbye from Linda. Have a nice weekend.
Just a nice weekend to you all.
BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
Good evening. Tonight, when words aren't enough.
He spins Ellen from side to side. She lands in the arms of the monkey.
Tonight, we hear a new approach to audio description using sounds rather than just words. But first, plenty of blind and partially sighted people use social media, but how feasible is it to get the most from a means of communication which depends so much on quick-fire visual images and verbal shorthand? Take the emoji, for instance. Well, I would if I knew exactly what an emoji was, but it is World Emoji Day tomorrow, Wednesday, so I thought it was time I found out a bit more about it. One of my fellow journalists at Media City is Louisa Adams. Just explain emojis for me.
I suppose the best way to describe them is very small pictures. They're about the size of a letter that you would type on a keyboard. And on your phone, so if you have a smartphone like an Apple or an Android phone, you can get an emoji keyboard which comes up. And quite often when you type out a word, it will suggest an emoji for you to use instead of the word or to add after the word. So for example, there's a whole range of emotions, so that's how they started. So there's a big smiley face or a sad face if you're feeling very sad. So instead of putting a kiss, I might use my favourite emoji, which is a little kissing face but with a love heart that comes out of its mouth. There's a woman who's wearing a flamenco dress who's dancing, and I often use her if I'm feeling in a good mood or if I'm excited about doing something. There's the classic Prosecco bottle popping, which is used if you're in a celebratory mood, or if it's someone's birthday you can send them a little emoji cake. So, you know, there's a big selection, Peter. OK, well, there are a lot of visually impaired people far better informed than me. Fern Lulham does have a little site and you use emojis.
I do.
Why?
Sometimes it's easy, as we all know, to misinterpret what someone's saying in a text. So you could say, thanks a lot. And if you put a smiley face, it means something very different to if you say, thanks a lot, like with a furrowed brow, thanks a lot, great. So it's a way of sort of expressing yourself and distinguishing between two different tones of voice over just text. But obviously now it's branched out into all kinds of things, and it's just a bit of fun, really, isn't it?
But that sounds as if it does need quite a lot of precision. How easy is it for you to use with a little sight, and how easy is it to get things confused?
It is very easy to get things confused, and I have definitely used the wrong emoji at times because, as Louisa was saying, they are very small, so it is hard to see details. And I think the more detailed they're getting, the more specific the pictures are, the harder it is for somebody like me who can't see very well to make out exactly what is going on.
If I could do a radio emoji, it would be confused face at the moment. Can I just give you a little test to see how you do recognise emojis? Here we go. People would normally hear these on synthetic speech, say using screen reader, but we decided to have a real voice.
Face with tears of joy.
I think this is one of the most used emojis, and I think it's kind of replaced the LOL. Do you know about LOL, Peter?
Even I know that. Laugh out loud. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So I think it's basically replaced that, and it's a very happy, as you can imagine, face with tears coming down. So sort of crying with laughter, as it were.
Okay, what about this?
Loudly crying face.
They sound alike. What's the difference?
Well, loudly crying face is you're actually upset, right? And you have like tears coming out of your eyes like two waterfalls. You wouldn't use this in a happy situation. And I think the expression, I feel like, is a sad expression as well.
But I suppose that is an example where you could, if you didn't know as much as you do about it, you could be confused. You could send the wrong message.
Absolutely. And especially if you were talking about something that's very sad, a death of somebody or a death of someone's pet or something like that, you don't want to go and put the crying with joy face. Definitely not.
Well, the RNIB has recently held a workshop looking at ways in which emojis could be made more accessible to blind and partially sighted people. Sarah Bailey, who works in marketing for the RNIB, was there. I mean, for a start, how do you use emojis, Sarah?
I use them very little, quite simply because I use Android and I zoom into the screen and I find it quite hard to distinguish between all of the different emojis that are available. I would love to see them made more accessible so that I can definitely use them because I love social media and I still want to be part of the same conversation that everyone else is, and emojis have become like a common language that I think we should all have the ability to use.
So what does more accessible mean? Because screen readers do already describe them, as we've said. What else needs to happen, in your opinion?
Your accessibility differs between platforms, and then also the visual cues, I guess. So, a lot of the emojis, the yellow face ones, for example, the smiley faces and the sad faces, all look very similar in terms of colour, shape, and kind of the outlines as well. So it's kind of improving as many elements of those things as possible.
You are thinking in terms of how totally blind people could get more help from this as well?
Yeah, so I think for totally blind people, there's probably more to do in terms of how they can access the emojis in the first place. There's so many that are coming out now that it's just improving how they're presented, perhaps on different platforms, and making that more consistent, that make the emojis more identifiable and you can search for them perhaps in alphabetical order, I think, things like that.
Can I ask you both, what is the main problem? Is it how we can accurately interpret the emojis that are sent to us, or how we can find the appropriate emoji we want to send to somebody else? Fern first.
If you're sending the wrong one, you could be completely making a fool of yourself, probably more, because there's such a wide selection these days that you can say so many different things in the click of a button, and it could be the wrong button and you could send a completely different message from the one that you meant to somebody else.
Yeah, so I think in terms of interpreting the one you're receiving, it's definitely more problematic with partially sighted because it's quite hard to distinguish between the different ones, whereas when you're using a screen reader, it kind of tells you crying out loud, so it's kind of decided for you what the emotion is, whereas I think it's a lot more open to interpretation for people such as myself who are partially sighted.
I think we've established the possibilities of confusion. Perhaps we can see how you react to these.
Kissing face with open eyes. Kissing face with squinting eyes. Kissing face with closed eyes.
I think you would just go for the first one that your finger went. Is there much difference, really? Does it matter that much?
Well, it's no good asking me, but let me try. Louisa is still here. Louisa, can you tell us the difference between them?
In that situation, it's personal preference, I think, always. I might send the closed eyes kissing face to my boyfriend, but I probably wouldn't send it to his mum. Like, I don't know. It's a very nuanced difference, I would say.
We're going to try one more list on you.
Unamused face, disappointed face, sad pensive face, worried face, confused face, persevering face.
Right. Now, they all sound pretty similar in a way. Anyone like to have a shot at what the difference is and how you would choose?
I think it depends on your situation. Obviously, some of them are sadder, like disappointed would be different from confused, because confused is, I'm guessing it's like an S on its side mouth. It's just slightly different emotions, but they're very similar. But I do think like the pensive face might sort of come across as a bit more sarcastic. And it's so difficult because it depends on the receiver's interpretation, doesn't it, and what mood they're in that day.
Yeah, I think there's probably a lot of eyebrow different positions going on, and action.
But are visually impaired people missing out on some of the nuances here, which perhaps Louisa is picking up on? Are we missing out, and are there ways in which we could be more included?
I think with that one, we are sort of missing out because I wouldn't know the difference between that one and I wouldn't really be able to see any difference. I don't think, like Louisa says, it might just be down to the eyebrows and that's such a tiny thing. And I guess that would just be down to describing it more specifically in a screen reader or just making the expression more prominent and obvious to tell a difference between.
And I suppose the other problem is that they're changing quite fast, aren't they? Louisa, do new ones come in?
They put new ones in all the time, so it seems to develop according to, what's trending at the time. I mean, for example, they recently put a woman wearing a hijab in the kind of more lifelike looking emojis. But I mean, there are trees, animals, sporting activities, literally emojis for almost every part of life. So there is a ever expanding lexicon of emojis for people to get their head around. To me, it sounds very simplistic how they've described it. I couldn't tell the difference from that description of, I can't even picture in my head which emoji that might correspond to.
The suggestion is people could be more specifically identified. In other words, you could have an emoji indicating that you were a blind person. If you've gone somewhere with a blind friend, you would indicate the blind friend. Fern, is that something that you want?
Am I allowed to be controversial here?
You are absolutely allowed to be controversial.
I'm not sure about that. That makes me a bit uncomfortable. I have always said, which I think is quite a popular view in the disabled community, that I don't want my disability to define me. Having an emoji which just represents me as a blind person, to me, is like the definition of my disability defining me. I just want to be dancing. If I'm going out dancing, like, what is there, a blind person dancing? Or am I just a blind person standing there watching the dancing? It's not emojis. It's not images. We don't have to look like the person in the emoji. It's just portraying what we're doing. And that's why I liked it when they were little yellow people, because nobody's a little yellow person, really. So it just represents everyone as people, as humans that share emotions.
Fern Lulham, Sarah Bailey, thank you very much indeed. And Louisa Adams, thanks for making me a little less confused. Do tell us about your own use of emojis, whether you find them inclusive and fun or just annoying. Audio description is another technique where until recently words have been enough. They're used to describe the action on film, stage or television when there's no dialogue to tell us what's going on. But can audio description be an art form in itself? The rationale method has been developed by dancer Nathan Gearing using sounds based on beatboxing and hip hop. He's been using it to describe dance and physical movements on stage. And he's been working with the visually impaired theatre company Unseen Suffolk on their new production Tree of Dreams, training members of the company to create the sounds themselves. Our reporter Toby Davey joined the company as they rehearsed.
My name is Nathan Gearing and I am the creator of the rationale method. And what the rationale method is, it's an umbrella term for a bunch of unique techniques that can enhance accessibility for people with a range of disabilities, but mainly focusing on visual impairment.
You've done a lot of research into the description and how best to develop the rational method, and working with blind and partially sighted people through workshops. From the research, what were visually impaired people telling you about the development of the method? What were they saying? What was their reaction?
Obviously, because it was quite a new concept, it took a moment to get people to grasp how it works. You know, we got people with visual impairment to actually physicalise each sound effect the beatboxer makes. And so, for example, if the majority of people are saying that zip, dum, sounds like a jump, that's what we use for a jump. If they would say is the sound effect that they would recognise for like a high spin, we would use that for a high spin. If was a low spin, we would use that for a low spin. And so because we've worked with so many people across a period of time, we've created our own language, I guess.
Tree branches rise up into the air. The tree folk look at their paintbrushes, then spin around towards the tree. Ellen joins in as they start to paint the tree, the floor and the air all around them, using long brush strokes and dabbing dots.
My name's Wayne Whitney. I'm one of the founding members of Unseen Suffolk. I've been here right since the beginning.
How did you come up with some of the noises and sounds that you make? Because I've just been watching a bit of a rehearsal and you're making noises for paint being splashed around and stuff and things like that, and some really fun noises coming out. Yeah. And I wonder, how did you come to the actual noises that you're doing?
Actually, you know, the paint splatter one, Nathan actually taught me how to do that one, but he is the only one that he's taught me sort of how to do.
The woodcutter.
Obviously the chainsaw, what I actually did incredibly was I actually listened to a clip of it on YouTube.
From somebody who's visually impaired yourself, and probably somebody who's experienced what people might call as traditional audio description, how does the rational method and the sounds compare to traditional audio description?
Well, audio description is obviously an amazing thing for any person with any type of vision impairment. But the sound effects that I do, you know, the ones that Nathan does as well, because they're in a room and they're live, they sound different and they sound more real. But with the audio description added on to that, it makes it sound so much better, and the audio describer can, well, Nathan certainly does, he certainly puts, you know, feeling into, and more expression into the words, so it's almost like he's part of the show as well. It adds more feeling to it, it sort of, you know, immerses the audience more into it, definitely.
You've been working with Unseen Suffolk on Trio Dreams here in Ipswich, a bit of a homecoming for you. Yeah. How has the rehearsal process been going, and what do you think you are able to bring to the production?
It has been absolutely incredible to be back in my hometown and to be working on this production with this incredible cast of people. They're absolutely brilliant and they just inspire me, wow me, and just make me laugh every single day. It's just wicked, it's so great. And the great thing about this is the audio description is for everybody to hear. We're trying to get rid of those barriers of isolation and things. So, and that's the whole dream for audio description, is for it to be a shared experience that can actually enhance accessibility for sighted audiences just as much as visually impaired audiences. The great thing about this production is because a lot of it happens within a dreamlike state, we've been able to use the sound effects in a way that have been almost have like more like an animated and cartoon kind of feel to it.
Tree dweller sweeps up Ellen and holds her close, ready to tango dance across the stage. They face each other, turn to the side. They face each other, turn to the side. Heels flick and step, flick and step, flick and step, flick and step. They face each other. He spins Ellen from side to side. She lands in the arms of the monkey.
Having experienced the rational method during rehearsals in Ipswich and chatting with Nathan and Wayne, I now fully understand how the method works, using sound to describe what's going on stage. And it's great that the audio description is available for all. I can see where this method of description really works for a play like Tree of Dreams, but I'm not totally sure how it would work for a play where the description has to be added on. But I'm happy to be proved wrong. So what do visually impaired theatregoers make of this new way of describing?
So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to present to you Unseen Suffolk's Tree of Dreams.
Well, I'm severely sight impaired, and I thought it was absolutely brilliant. I liked the way the cast also joined in the audio description, and I thoroughly enjoyed it all, and I didn't have to wear headphones, so it was very good.
Having that audio description over the top of everything else, able to pick up the actions a lot easier. For somebody who is visually impaired, it was brilliant show. Well done.
The audio description today was excellent. I don't think I could fault it, to be honest. That opened my eyes to the things that people who can see.
Ellen is handed the steering wheel and George a horn and a number plate.
Fran Ling, Kevin Ross and Lizzie Birch ending Toby Davies' report. And that's it for today. You know by now we always want to hear your views. You can leave them on our phone line, number 0161 836 1338. You can email in touch at bbc.co.uk or go to our website bbc.co.uk/in touch, from where you can download tonight's and previous editions of In Touch. From me, Peter Wight, producer Lee Kumatat and the team. Waving hand, smiley face.
Here is the scaffolding news for Friday the 19th of July 2019. In the Cowes area, current scaffolds, 93 High Street Cowes, scaffold up within hoarding, Cameos, Bath Road Cowes, Ship and Castle Inn, Castle Street East Cowes, 1 Beckford Road Cowes, 63 High Street Cowes, current skips, 16 Yarborough Road East Cowes, 4 Pelham Road Cowes, 18 Osborne Chase Cowes, current hoardings, 93 High Street Cowes.
And in the Newport area we have current scaffolds at Coastal Mobility, 9 St Thomas's Square, Newport, Units 1, 2 and 3, 32 High Street, Newport, 117 to 118 High Street, Newport, Precision Hair, 50 St James's Street, Newport, 102 High Street, Newport, Age UK 114A, Pyle Street, Newport, the current Cherry Picker, the front elevation of shops in South Street and side elevation in Orchard Street, Newport, pending Cherry Picker, junction of Standen Lane and Burnt House Lane, Newport, opposite Seven Elm Grove, Newport, junctions of Coleman's Lane and White House Road, Newport.
In the Ryde area, current scaffolds, 35 to 36 High Street Ryde, flats 31 to 36 Mary Mead Close Ryde, 22 West Street Seaview, Boots 170 High Street Ryde, 18 High Street Ryde, Wright's Estate Agents 187 High Street Ryde, pending scaffold Royal York Hotel George Street Ryde, current skips Carita Stane Road Seaview, parking bays at High Park Square School Street Ryde, Celandine Steen Road Seaview, Pear Tree Cottage Circular Road Seaview.
Sandown and Shanklin area, current scaffolds at Wilmar Dorkin and Vermaper Cottages in Church Street, Newchurch, former Lloyds Bank High Street, Sandown, United Reformed Church, Langard Road, Shanklin, flats 3 to 46 Fitzroy Street, Sandown, Hurst's, Regent Street, Shanklin. Pending scaffolds are 49 Regent Street, Shanklin, current Cherry Pickers, Downsview, Sandown, current skips, Stour Place, Sandown, Lake Railway Station, Lake Cliff Garden Path, Lake. Pending skips, 5 Atherley Crossroad, Shanklin, Current hoardings, Premier Inn 1 to 9 Esplanade Sandown. Pending mobile crane is a Premier Inn 1 to 9 Esplanade Sandown.
In the Ventnor area, current scaffolds, corner of Trinity Road and Madeira Road, Ventnor, 1 Boniface Road and into Trinity Road, Ventnor, 32 Pier Street, Ventnor. Current skips, 16 South Street, Ventnor, Cherry Picker, junction of Victoria Street and Albert Street, Ventnor.
The West Wight area, current scaffolds are St James's Church, St James's Street, Yarmouth, Vector's Vapes, Avenue Road, Freshwater. Pending scaffolds, Hursts, 9 School Green Road, Freshwater. Vehicle crossings under construction, 386 Newport Road, Cowes, 17 Paddock Road, Shanklin, The Meadows, Colwell Road, Freshwater, and 31 Sandcroft Avenue, Ryde.